The Phoenix program, created by the CIA in 1967, was aimed at neutralizing through assassination, kidnapping, and torture the civilian infrastructure that supported the Viet Cong insurgency in South Vietnam. It was a terrifying final solution that violated the Geneva Conventions. The Phoenix program's civilian targets of assassination were Viet Cong tax collectors, supply officers, political cadre, local military officials, and suspected sympathizers. Faulty intelligence often led to the murder of innocent civilians. Rival Vietnamese would report their enemies as VC in order for U.S. troops to kill them. In 1971, William Colby, head of the CIA in Vietnam, testified the number killed was 20,000. South Vietnamese government figures were 40,000 dead. CIA officer Ted Shackley managed 600 military and 50 CIA liaison officers who were working with South Vietnamese officers in 44 provinces. Ted Shackley and Robert Comer played key roles in recruiting Phoenix program personnel. Many covert action officers were Cuban refugees from the Bay of Pigs fiasco. They ran the CIA's counter-terror teams, which were in fact assassination squads. Colby, Comer, and Shackley reported to the Director of Central Intelligence, Richard Helms, and the White House. From the beginning, the Phoenix program was conceived by the White House and supported by the CIA. Phoenix called for neutralizing 1,800 targets a month. About one-third of VC targeted for arrest were summarily executed. Green Berets and Navy SEALs would assassinate suspected VC sympathizers or cadre, as well as South Vietnamese collaborators and double agents. In 1982, an ex-Phoenix operative revealed that sometimes orders were given to kill U.S. military personnel who were considered security risks. He suspects the orders came not from division, but from a higher authority, such as the CIA or the Office of Naval Intelligence. The following testimony of Vincent Okamoto, combat officer lieutenant in Vietnam in 1968 and recipient of the Distinguished Service Cross, the second highest award conferred by the U.S. Army, wounded 3 times. Quote, "The problem was, how do you find the people on the blacklist? It's not like you had their address and telephone number. The normal procedure would be to go into a village and just grab someone and say, 'Where's when so-and-so?' Half the time the people were so afraid they would say anything. Then a Phoenix team would take the informant, put a sandbag over his head, poke out 2 holes so he could see, put como wire around his neck like a long leash, and walk him through the village and say, 'When we go by Wynn's house, scratch your head.' Then that night Phoenix would come back, knock on the door, and say, 'April Fool, motherfucker.' Whoever answered the door would get wasted. As far as they were concerned, whoever answered was a communist, including family members. Sometimes they'd come back to camp with ears to prove that they killed people." Penetrations into the Viet Cong infrastructure were accomplished by blackmailing or terrorizing a member of a targeted individual's family to gather information. Every Vietnamese 15 and over had to register and carry an identity card. These records were computerized and evolved into a highly computerized and statistical means of generating 1,800 names a month for the target list and coordinating this information on suspects from 30,000 plus informants. When the Strategic Hamlet program failed, CIA and military intelligence concentrated on the Phoenix program, a terror campaign aimed at the civilian population. Instead of winning hearts and minds, using the threat of assassination and a state of terror to defeat the North Vietnamese. Many non-political Vietnamese were arrested and tortured and in effect forced into the resistance army. Phoenix program architect Robert Comer, after leaving the Pentagon, said, quote, "I would have done a lot of things differently and been more cautious about getting us involved." He called the war a strategic disaster which cost us 57,000 lives and $500 billion. The Vietnam War was the formative experience for a generation of CIA and military intelligence personnel involved in the Phoenix program. They viewed the military defeat in Vietnam as a betrayal on the home front, a loss of will by domestic political enemies, not a military failure against a nationalistic revolution fought as a guerrilla war. The Phoenix program, assassinating suspected VC sympathizers in a systematic manner, worked well and is the blueprint for the current black operation targeting thousands of loyal Americans using state-of-the-art microwave and radio frequency radiation weapons. The motivation to suppress domestic dissidents and to assassinate loyal American opposition stems from the perception of dissent against the war as treason. This philosophy is stated very clearly in the Mind War paper written by NSA General Michael Aquino. The Department of Defense has a huge stake in futuristic technology that kills by ionizing and non-ionizing radiation, leaving little or no trace. The indiscriminate killing of the Phoenix program continues on American soil. The terms soft kill, slow kill, and silent kill refer to the new way of killing the enemy in conflicts short of war and the small wars of the future. The counterinsurgency doctrine has now been applied to the home front so that the perceived betrayal of the military in Vietnam will not be repeated. The generation of CIA and military intelligence led by Shackley, Helms, Casey, Abrams, Singlab, Secord, John B. Alexander, Michael Aquino, Paul Vallely, and others have built the perfect beast, using selective assassination that leaves no trace. The ability to cull the human herd with silent kill technology allows a few personalities to remake the entire society in their own image. Extremely low frequency technology slowly drives the target crazy with silent sound, similar to the CIA MKUltra psychiatrist Ewan Cameron's psychic driving technique, used to break down the target's personality. The new buzzwords at the Pentagon are synthetic telepathy and psychotronics. Another means of attack on targets is the Smirnov patent that uses subliminal suggestion to manipulate human behavior. This patent was purchased by the remote viewing company Scitech Corporation. Military intelligence officers involved in developing these non-lethal weapons include Alexander, Aquino, Puthoff, and others, also control Scitech. Emotional manipulation is accomplished using Dr. Michael Persinger's work to remotely project emotional states that the brain entrains or locks onto and emulates. One can broadcast rage or fear at an individual target to manipulate and control them. As if these methods were not enough to torture and murder people, add to this nightmarish toolbox active gang stalking. CIA-created cults and other cause-oriented groups are used to induce further trauma in the target by actively harassing them in public in a neutralization technique described in counterintelligence operations manuals that are aimed at enemy agents. In the race to develop a new weapon, it has always been necessary to test it on human beings. Perfecting the latest weapons designed to kill slowly and silently, as well as perfecting the process of controlling the human mind, are no different. Once the weaponry has been perfected on these few thousand people, the same techniques will be applied en masse to the general population, and then to humanity as a whole.